facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and you know the Cafe Kubal is set up for you all throughout Central and upstate New York. You can head to 3501 James Street in Syracuse, as well as 401 South Salina Street in downtown Syracuse, and you can find them inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse as well, and of course out on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, as well as in their drive-through location where you can dine inside as well as drive through at the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse. So plenty of ways to connect to Cafe Kubal, and we appreciate you for doing that today, however you do it. So get out and fill your cup up with what you love. I got a big old thermos, my Spider-Man thermos here to fill up, so plenty of chai can go in here, and I like all different kinds of it. The honey, the brown sugar, I like to mix and match. The mint, there's still some pumpkin spice holiday chai going on, and go there, put it in the thermos, have it for the day, and enjoy your day with some Cafe Kubal today. I mean, I don't have to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyways. From their coffee to their teas and their chais and everything that they offer, their chocolate chip banana breads, their muffins, their sandwiches, so many great things at Cafe Kubal. And every time you go there, you're supporting local with coffee that was made right here in our community and provided to us. So make sure you head to Cafe Kubal today. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we have plenty of show coming up. We're going to start the broadcast off as we always do on a Wednesday. It is 9 a.m., which means it is officially Dolphin time in our multimedia marketing partnership. The Moyne Dolphins are with you every Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to start the show off with Allison Cole, who is a homegrown Central New York native talent who is going to be staying right here in our community, going from the CNS Girls Lacrosse team over to the Moyne Women's Lacrosse team. Allison tells her story in a video you don't want to miss in a very special recruiting edition of Dolphin Dive. We are joined by Allison Cole going from CNS to Moyne. One more ride at CNS before jumping over to the Moyne College Dolphins. Very excited to tell Allison's story in just a minute. And then after that, around 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time, James Wildhack will join the show. And I went and took a visit to Manlius Pebble Hill to sit down with the boys' basketball player. James will tell his story at 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time from that trip over to Manlius Pebble Hill. Then Wayne Peart will be joining the show at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Wayne and I will have the opportunity to speak on his recruitment. He, at the time of our conversation, had offers from Pittsburgh, Penn State, Colorado, and Syracuse. We'll hear what the 2023 defensive tackle has to say about all of that, and of course his faith and so much more. And a congratulations to Wayne, because right after our conversation, which is going to air this morning, he also got an offer from Temple. So big ups to him for that. And the Wildcat Sports Pub will bring us the Fantasy Football Power Hour. We'll have an abridged version of it, a half an hour, as we have 4 games. So typically, we tell you you're going to get an hour of fantasy football, and you usually get an hour and a half to 2. And so it all evens out here, as today at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be bringing you the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, with Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com and our joint winning fantasy football group on Facebook. Him and I will be talking about the AFC and NFC Championship round. We'll be discussing the Bengals at the Chiefs, as well as the 49ers at the Rams for fantasy and reality. So plenty of show coming your way. We're going to take a fast break, and when we spin back around, Allison Cole's incredible story comes to you. I cannot wait. I have been chomping at the bit to share this story, so I am so very excited about the opportunity to do so. Allison Cole on Wake Up Call right after this fast break inside the Cafe Kubal studios, where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, coming back here from the fast break inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You are watching on YouTube.com as well as Facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT. You're listening on MixLR.com / Wake Up Call DT and on WakeUpCallDT.com. And of course, being shared on Facebook as well on Facebook.com / Live Now DT. So in two places. This is our very special Dolphin Dive of an incoming Dolphin here from our community of Central and Upstate New York, and that is Allison Cole coming to us from the CNS North Stars girls lacrosse team, heading off to play for the Moyne Dolphins women's lacrosse team coming up here very soon. So for the first time ever, I get to welcome you in. Allison, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. So bring me into the beginning, why you started playing lacrosse. What was it about lacrosse that got you involved?
Yeah, so I started playing lacrosse in 5th grade, and I kind of just started liking it a lot ever since I started playing it. And I feel like the more you play it and like you understand the game more, you become more passionate for it.
So for you, as you've played the game, what have you loved about it, and what has been the most challenging part of the game?
Yeah, I definitely love like all the teammates I've made like over the years, whether that's like through school or through clubs, and just like going to tournaments, meeting a bunch of people. And, there's like downsides to it, it's definitely like sometimes like, mental, but I feel like you only become a stronger person going through those like breakdowns sometimes, but it's all good in the long run.
And so when you've gone through the mental side of it, and you've had those moments of strife and those moments of adversity, how have you handled the mental aspect?
Yeah, I would say just not taking it personal and just like continuing to keep working. And because I know there's going to be like a positive side, even though it could be like a negative side right now. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and it just gets better.
So for you, you're going through your recruitment and you're looking at different places, what could be home. Bring me into the recruiting process for you. Was it what you expected it to be? Was it better? Was it more challenging? How did you review that? How did you look back on the recruiting process?
Yeah, I definitely would say it was definitely interesting.
It to be,
all the 22s.
Was it better?
Was going through like the COVID time where our like tour year, the summer of 2020 was supposed to be like our exposure year. And a lot of us didn't get that. So it was definitely like very different than what it would be, but I wouldn't know because we didn't go through it. But I think I was looking at like several schools, and I was just like kept waiting to like find the home for me. And I was happy I did. As a Moyne, like I wasn't like really looking at it at first. And then, cause it's like in my hometown, I wasn't like really looking. And then it just like came like upon my nose, and I was like, maybe I should like check it out. And then here I am.
So when you went through the process, what other schools were you looking at? Were you trying to stay close? Were you open to going farther away, or how did you see that?
Yeah, I was like definitely looking to go like farther away. I would say like the minimum was like 3 hours. So definitely not looking to stay close. I had interest from like a lot of D3, D2, and some D1s. But Moyne just stuck out to me the most.
So the final ride with CNS, bring me into that.
Definitely exciting, bittersweet, emotional, but I'm super excited to start the spring season out strong. And, the goal this year is definitely taking that state championship home and with all my teammates. So that's the goal.
That coming here from Allison Cole inside of our Dolphin Dive special exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and speaking with a future Dolphin and someone here in our community. So CNS last season, obviously I followed that. Fran and I are by blood terms cousins, but by how we treat each other, she's my little sister. So we're closer than cousins, and going through the playoffs and going through the season, you guys were counted out. A couple of years ago, I think it was 1-15. Then you had a season that you didn't play. So you had to live 2 years with one win. And when you came into this past season, the expectation from the outside looking in was nothing. You guys weren't talked about. There wasn't the expectation you were going to do anything. And then you get through the playoffs. You play the entire playoffs on the road. And then the championship's supposed to be on neutral field, and it's played at Beeville, and you still find a way with them having a home game in front of their hometown crowd to get the victory in overtime in a phenomenal finish and a crazy game. Bring me into, I know I said a lot there, but bring me into the 1-15 and then not having a season, the fact that you had one win in 2 years, and just maybe what that did to the mental side of things and the psyche of you and the team.
Yeah, definitely getting that sectional championship definitely helped our team, especially like what we went through in the past, and definitely like made it worth it, getting that victory and proving like other schools wrong. And definitely, that 1-15 year, like no one wants to go like through season only winning one game. And then the COVID year was supposed to be, our comeback year, and then we didn't have that. So that was bittersweet as well. But it was a great season last year. So
What did you learn from the 1-15 season? Because I'm sure that as that season goes on, it gets more trying, more difficult. I'm sure at some point the team just wants to, reflect, go home, stop the bleeding. So how did you handle going through a year like that?
yeah, I would say just not giving up. I know that's kind of like cliche, but especially going through that, like you can't give up because you still have games and you can't like quit on your teammates either. You need to like keep going through it.
And then having a season taken from you, nobody could have ever anticipated that. Colleges were able to give you another year of eligibility. Pro teams were able to say, hey, we're just going to change our season, shorten it, or move it a couple months. High schools, if you lost it, you lost it in a lot of cases. How did you deal with that? How did you grapple with the fact that you're only going to go to high school once and something was taken from you?
Yeah, I definitely took advantage of that like extra time, knowing like I can't just like sit here in the moment and be sad about it when I have a season like the following year to work for. And so, either that was just like staying busy, like running outside or doing like workout videos from home on YouTube. So, and also having a stick in my hand on my wall ball. So it's very like, it's like easy to get off course in that atmosphere, but at the same time, like you have to know your goals and values of what's going to come later.
And for you, the coaching staff, just what you can say about what they did to keep you on pace, to keep you focused. When you have Coach Prentice, Stephanie Prentice there, and the staff, what did they do to keep you guys locked in?
Yeah, so every game day, we would have like kind of like a scouting report and game plan, and it had like players to look out for and what our offense needs to do, our defense, so everyone's like on the same page. So they sent that to us like the night before, like every game, so and film to watch. So that was definitely helpful because we know what we needed to do, and they're always there like to talk to if you need them, and always like learning something new at practice. So they're a great coaching staff, so I'm happy to be a part of the team with them.
What did they do in the COVID year to keep you guys positive and to trying to keep you focused?
Yeah, so at the time, she was not like announced the coach yet, so we didn't know where the program was going. So it was definitely like who's going to be the new coach. But so that was another reason, like working for it, because you don't know who's coming in next and what they're going to see.
So going through that, when you have a pandemic plus an opening for the coach, you guys are kids, you're teenagers. So you have a pandemic that nobody could prepare for. Then you have a coaching change, which is always not it's not fun to go through, so to speak, unless the coach is really bad. But it's change on top of change. So where did the leadership come from when you're going through a pandemic, got a year taken away from you, don't have normal school, can't see your friends, and you don't have a coach? Who stepped up to be a leader or leaders on the CNS North Stars team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say at the time, Molly Mulch, who graduated last year and is now at the Mount, and then also Fran, just like, constantly reminding us like there's a season next year, and just like keep like reinventing yourself and getting better.
And Fran, obviously my little sis here, she has told me her side of it, how she looks at it, how she views it. How do you view Fran? How often is she texting you, calling you? Is she getting on you saying, hey, we got to go to work? How would you describe Fran as a teammate through your eyes?
Yeah, so I see Fran either like every other day because we have a class together. So definitely always like getting on each other about like lacrosse and stuff in a good way, and then like seeing her at practice. But she always like has something to say at practice in a good way, and like just like reminding the team and like making people better, and just like giving like helpful opinions. to just make you better and like to not take it personal because like she cares.
Molly has obviously, like you said, moved on, finished up her eligibility in high school, went on to, and has gone on to play in college. But you have Fran still for one more ride, and this is your last ride. Where's the leadership coming from this season? If it came from Molly and Fran, who's maybe, I don't want to say taken Molly's spot, but who's stepped up to join Fran in that leadership role? And do you feel like you've taken a part of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Molly McGrath, who's going to Albany, she was like announced captain for this upcoming year. So definitely see like some leadership from her this year as well with Fran. And then just also being a senior, I don't need a captain band or anything to, continue to show leadership, but I definitely want to be more talkative and on like the defensive side, like definitely on the field, but I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job of that, but also like explaining my ideas and what I'm seeing and just like sticking up for that.
Bring me into the championship game. I saw it through my eyes at Beeville when you guys finally took the 1-15 and then the no season and then turned it into sectional champions. There was no opportunity for states this past season, so you had to stop there. And so to be champions, to hoist up that banner for CNS, the first time at CNS in over 15 years that the girls lacrosse team was able to do this. Bring me into the game. And then if you would, please bring me into that final shot, which was insane.
Yeah. I would say the feelings throughout that game was definitely surreal, crazy, nail biting, all of those words. It was just like insane because we were just like back and forth. Like in the beginning, we were, I believe, down by, it was like 4, then 5. So it was definitely like a little discouraging at first. Like you're like, oh, okay. Like, and like Beeville thinks like they have a run on you. And then like, we kept fighting and then we like gradually dug our way out. And I believe possibly during halftime that we were like tied or winning by 1, or it was just really close. And then we kept like being neck and neck, and then we go into overtime and then another overtime, and it was just very crazy. And being on the defensive side, I was like face guarding Olivia Muscolino, who's now at Binghamton. So it definitely like I was like, all right, I gotta like stay on her because I can't let her see the ball because like if she gets it, like this could possibly, the game could end. And I was like, can't let that happen. And then our offense got the ball, and then Brooke Melchoff was like going around the crease, and then she passed to Kenzie Prentice. And then it was just like a beautiful pass. Like she was open at the right moment. And then it went in, and I was just like so happy. It was just like so crazy and so like unrealistic. Like I still like get chills like just talking about it.
And to know, that first overtime and then the second overtime, but how you got there. I know Fran made some 2 big time goals late. Your team fought back as a group. There were so many different things that were going on, so many moments, but the reason why you made it to the end of regulation and with 9 seconds left and into overtime and then into the second overtime is because your goalie arguably played out of her mind in a way she has maybe never played before. Can we shout out your goalie and speak to her efforts? Because she at least twice late in the game took one of the shots away that was right in front of her face.
Yes, 100%. She did amazing. She like had her backs 100%. And she was definitely like getting thrown those shots because I believe there was a shot like an 8-meter, and then one of the Bevo girls picked it up like a bounce back shot, and she saved that as well. And she just played phenomenal. She was just on fire. I don't know what she had before the game, but she was definitely ready.
Yeah, and it was absolutely incredible. Speaking here with Allison Cole, joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is the Dolphin Dive, and we have the opportunity to speak with a future Dolphin. Little bit interesting here, actually a lot of bit interesting, and I find this really, really cool, and I want to know the dynamic of this, and I'm going to ask her as well. Sarah Hunter has decided to come to Lemoyne in your class. You have decided to come to Lemoyne. You played each other in this championship game, she at Beeville, you at CNS. What are your thoughts on going back to that game where you faced off against Sarah Hunter and the crew of Beeville, and then now knowing instead of being your adversary, she's now your teammate?
Yeah, definitely crazy to think, but it's exciting going from like high school rivals to probably, being best friends at Moyne. So it's definitely crazy, but it'll be good because we've both been in good, like, high pressure scenarios. So I feel like we'll both bring that to Moyne.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, are you going to, have you talked to her about it, or do you feel like you will talk to her about kind of that moment of saying like, hey, we have kind of been bred to not like each other, and now all of a sudden, we're going to be working together. Have you talked to her at all about that? Like, right now it's see you on the field, and she's on one side, you're on the other side, and you got to get through her to win. And then eventually, it's the enemy and my enemy is my friend. So, eventually she's not going to be your enemy, and you're going to have a common enemy when you're at Lemoyne.
Yeah, definitely. Haven't talked about that yet. Probably talk more about that after like season, but as right now, it's here on the field.
And you have another chance to get after, potentially Beeville and Sarah again. What does that mean to you that, your future teammate you got one more, like you said, you got one more ride, one more opportunity. So you have the opportunity potentially to, face off. At least to have a matchup with Beeville during the season, but you could see them again down the line, and you and Sarah could be fighting for this again.
Yeah.
Just what that means to you, that this could happen one more time.
Yeah, definitely know Beeville. We're on their list, of revenge, and we understand that, and we have like high standards since winning the sectional championship. But we're ready to rise to the opportunity, and definitely going to be a good game. Well fought.
Yeah. And for you, I talked to Fran about this. There's the reality of when everybody counts you out, you're kind of playing with house money. People aren't afraid of you. They maybe not thinking about you. They don't expect a lot about you. Now as sectional champions, you're going to get everybody's best game. They want to beat you. How do you go from being the team last season that nobody expected, that had a chip on their shoulder, to a team now that is the exact opposite, and you are the team that everybody's gunning for?
Yeah, I would say just like we have more eyes on us. We're being watched more. Like we were watched before, but we're going to still like to other people's standards. We have to like meet their standards as well. So yeah.
For you in this final ride and in this final opportunity with CNS, to know that, God willing, states is a real thing. Did you feel like something was stolen away from you last year because you had to stop at sectionals? How do you view last season not having states because of the pandemic, and how do you look to this season knowing that sectionals and states are back on the table?
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely excited that like states are available like for this upcoming season, and because I have like no idea, I've never been like anywhere near states. Because for field hockey, my freshman year we won sectionals, and we didn't get to states, only regionals. So that's like as close as I've been with it with any sport. So it definitely be like a really fun and cool experience. And last season, like it definitely would have been nice to see like how far we could have gone against like other teams in the state. So definitely, if we win the sectional this year, that'll be great to see where we land with other teams.
How do you stay focused knowing that you could buy your own hype? Your teammates, a few of you, all of you could say, hey, we won. We feel good about ourselves. We're going to kind of live in that moment of victory and maybe not focus on this season as much and kind of expect it. You had to work so hard to get to where you are. How do you keep working that hard and not rest on the success of last season?
Yeah, I would just say like not forgetting like where we were a few years ago, and also like trying to keep CNS like being a good program and for the future of CNS as well. Like we want to keep setting examples and what's like what like the coaches and CNS is going to expect from the lacrosse program.
And that coming here from Allison Cole. Allison, before I let you go in this Dolphin Dive, of course, we need to jump into why Moyne and why this felt like the right place. You were talking about the fact that you were going to minimum go 3 hours away. CNS to Moyne is maybe 20 minutes. So how did Liz Bevel and the team do it? How did Moyne get you to say yes?
Yeah, so the story was like as I said before, like I wasn't like really looking into Moyne, but I tried out for like this New York State regional team, and Coach Bevel was the head coach of that. And so like I made the team, and then we went to like Albany for a few days and played in that tournament. And there was about like 3 or 4 Moyne commits playing in that tournament that I got to play with. And then like after the tournament, I got an email from coach and just like you know, talking about where I was in my recruiting process and like if I would like to visit. And then you know, I was like being open-minded and it's like because I definitely was interested. And then like when I walked on campus, it was just like an ultimate feeling that I got, and it had everything I wanted, academics and then athletics as well.
Academically, do you know what you want to study?
Yes, like as of right now, I'm thinking secondary math education or guidance counseling.
And what inspired you to do that? What's been the story behind why for that?
Yeah, so ever since I was like a little girl, like I've always wanted to be like a teacher. And then like I also volunteer at Gigi's Playhouse, and I'm like a math tutor over there. So I just like helping others, and then I also like teaching. So I kind of just like combined them. But.
Well, and that's awesome to have that care for the community, care for people outside yourself, wanting to help, wanting to teach, and then at the same time, you know, fall in love with the sport of lacrosse. It sounds like you have one incredible career ahead of you at Moyne.
Thank you.
And so Liz Bevel, she got the job August 19th, I think it was, of 2019. And in her time there, they were 4-0 and then had a shutdown during the pandemic, 13-1 this past season. She's 17-1 as the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins women's lacrosse team. So looking at a 17-1 record since she came in, and that includes this past season of, like I said, 13-1, 12-0 in the regular season to win the NE10 Southwest Division Championship, which is the 6th time that this has happened for Moyne in women's lacrosse for the NE10 regular season title. What are your thoughts on the fact that Liz took over this program just a little bit ago and a little over 2 years ago, and has only had one loss, and not only that, but has shown that when it comes to the NE10, she has been able to take care of business, went undefeated most recently. You're coming on to a team with a coach that's had a ton of success right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely incredible. And like knowing I'm going into like a high caliber team. So I'm super excited, and it's just incredible. It's like speechless, like 17-1, like that's pretty well. And not a lot of coaches can do that. So
what did she do? What did, Liz or the staff, outside of some of the things we've talked about, what about their personality or maybe their teaching method or how they want to coach? What about them made you feel like, hey, this is the right place for me?
Yeah, I would say probably just like how easy it was to like talk with her. And then being coached by her, like I like the drills and like the advice she was giving when she was coaching me. And it just felt right. And I just felt comfortable.
So for you, is there any similarity between Coach Prentice and Coach Bevel? Do you see that or no?
Yes, they definitely like, I feel like coach very similar. And I feel like that was definitely like a no-brainer decision, like, because they're just like so similar, like they're different, but their coaching styles is like similar.
What's similar between the two?
Yeah, I would say they're both like soft-spoken in a good way. Like they're not gonna like yell at you. Like they kind of like know like like what they want you to do, and like they tell you that, and just like just the way they like hold themselves, just like very the same.
So that coming from Allison Cole, that is her why for why Le Moyne. Once you committed to Le Moyne, was that like a done deal for you? Or are you still thinking about other places? Did you just feel like, hey, once I know, I know? Bring me into when you made the decision, how you knew it was the right decision, and if any part of you was still thinking about anywhere else.
Yeah, so after I think I went on the visit in mid-August, and I decided in like that first week of September. So I was definitely just like wanted to look at all my options, just like making sure I was making the right decision, like weighing all the pros and cons, like writing all that down. And then I realized Moyne was like the best fit. I had everything I want. And like my only con was it was 20 minutes away, but I realized like distance doesn't matter, and it could be like a benefit because I can come home for a family dinner if I want, not too far away.
Yeah, and so you have the best of both worlds and the opportunity to represent your hometown and home community around your, I mean, it's like a lot of people say, hey, I can just wear Syracuse on my chest or Cicero on my chest, North Syracuse, Central and Upstate New York. You get to wear that on your chest while you're still in the community, which is really incredible because your successes at CNS are here and your successes at Le Moyne will be right here in the same community. So you have the opportunity to really build up and make history right here at home in two different and very unique ways, which I think has got to be exciting for you to think about what you have accomplished and what you can.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there's a final part here. It's called rapid fire. You've answered all my questions incredibly. So Allison, I'm going to take you and not put you on the hot seat. I'm going to put myself on. You get to ask me any 3 questions, could be about anything in the world. I have to answer it. Go and ready.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
This is so tough. My favorite food. I love to cook. I would say, I don't know. I feel like I could have it every day probably because you could do a bunch of different things to it. I'm going to say pizza. But I do like my homemade nachos. So one of those.
Beach or lake?
Beach. I like the lake, but I love the sand. And I love St. Pete's Beach, which is down near Tampa in Florida. So I'd have to say the beach because there's nothing like walking on the beach at night and like the moon is the only thing lighting up the beach. And you would think there's like a giant spotlight on the beach because it's just lit up this certain part and it's so quiet and it's peaceful and it's just beautiful. And you can kind of, be alone with your thoughts. So I would definitely say the beach.
And favorite number?
21. So it's kind of funny with Fran because my birthday is October 21st. And so my number's always been 21 and Fran's number's 21 because of her own. And so whenever I wear anything to support her, it says Tortora 21. And anybody that knows me thinks that it's for me and it's for her. So it's kind of interesting how I told her, I was like, you picked the right number because it, all my gear that's the stuff that's hers, it looks like it's for me. So it works. She picked the right one. I know you asked me your 3, but what is your favorite number? Do you have one?
Mine would be number 10.
Okay. Why?
Because my mom's best friend, who I'm named after, Allison, so she played field hockey, and I started like field hockey in 8th grade, and I was running cross country in 7th, and I like really didn't think I would be playing field hockey. And then it's just like a really weird because like one day I was at in a parking lot and I picked up like a field hockey token, and it just like reminded me of her, and then her number was 10, so it's just like a coincidence. So I chose like number 10 for field hockey. And then like everywhere I go, it's so weird because like I'll like park in a random like parking space and be like, oh, number 10, and just like I see it like occasionally, so it's kind of like she's like looking down. So like that's my favorite number.
Well, I would tell you It's very funny how God works in my life, and I think in anybody's life. I tell people all the time that if you want to know if God exists, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite number is 21. As you're saying that, I'm nodding because my number shows up everywhere. My birthday shows up 10/21, and then my grandfather's favorite number, my mom's dad, was 13. And so 21 and 13 together is 213. And I now see 213, 21, and 10/21 all the time. And I've been behind a bus where there's thousands of buses, and it's bus 21. So I know exactly what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. So I definitely think that's awesome that you were named after your mom's best friend. And so she paid tribute to Allison, and now you're paying tribute to her as well, kind of giving it back again by having number 10. So it's this cyclical love for these people that, obviously matter in your circle, which I think is really, really cool. And that's incredible. So I'm sure that means a lot to you.
Yes, definitely.
So for Allison Cole, your soon to be Lemoyne Dolphin and your current CNS and always CNS North Star, thank you so much for being a part of Dolphin Dive and sharing your story with us. And selfishly, Allison, thanks for staying in the community, because now we get to see you successful right around the corner.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Cafe Kubal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafekubal.com. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the Southern Tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 37 3790 New York, 13 in Pulaski, New York is worth the drive every time. Make your way out to the Millhouse Market every single Tuesday through Sunday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their indoor bistro restaurant has a new menu every single week, so you can try something new. Of the mind of Rebecca Alford, the owner of the Millhouse Market. And, of course, you can go to their drive-through pickup window, grab your food, and go with contactless pay. And, of course, you can go into their general store and get local products from local companies ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds. The Millhouse Market is second to none, from their homemade breads and desserts to quinoa bowls, rice bowls, as well as their salads, brick oven pizzas, and sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Absolutely, positively worth the drive every time to see how they've taken a fan favorite and twisted it into something truly special and unique. There is nothing at the Millhouse Market that you'll find anywhere else, so make sure you make your way out there now to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every single time.
What's up, everyone? In this special edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we are on site on location at Manlius Pebble Hill with James Wildhack, and happy to be here with James. So, James, first and foremost, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, bring me into the Manlius Pebble Hill experience. It's a different type of school. I mean, it's a very, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not what you anticipate for a high school to be. It's almost like a college hybrid of a high school. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's a really great community. I've been here since 6th grade, so I got to spend all middle school here.
Yeah.
I moved here from Connecticut, but I've loved it ever since. It's obviously different, but I think it does a great job preparing you for college, and it's kind of cool to have the same friends and the same teachers and same environment over the year, because you can see the growth you have and the growth they have with you. And the sense of community here is awesome. We still have obviously we have our pep rallies and stuff like that, but it does challenge you a lot academically, and it really brings the best out of you, which is awesome. And the relationships you have with the teachers are really special.
You coming into this community was, not your typical kind of ushering into a new place with your dad obviously taking over at Syracuse as the athletics director. So what was the experience like coming in from Connecticut?
It was awesome. The city and everyone was super welcoming. Everyone was just happy to have us here, and it felt really good moving into a new environment and being welcomed like that. Got comfortable really quickly, and just being able to be in this community has been awesome the last 5 or 6 years.
Favorite part of Central New York so far?
Possibilities.
Okay.
They got really good food.
Okay. I should not be surprised that when I asked you your favorite part, could have been anything that you picked food. We are very, I would say we should be very well known for our food. We have a lot of good food.
I think it's criminally underrated.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So what do you get at Possibility?
I get their bolognese,
okay,
which is really good. I like that a lot. That's probably my favorite dish.
So you being here academically, you talked about it a little bit, great for education. I want to stick with that for a second. Do you know what you want to do? Have you found a field that you've really fallen in love with?
No, not really. I just want to put myself in a position academically where I can have the ability to kind of explore that, and just when I decide what I want to do, I have the resources and the knowledge to go 100% into that.
Basketball side of things, bring me into your passion, kind of where that all got started.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've been around sports my entire life. My parents really introduced me to everything. They didn't push me in a direction. I tried lacrosse, baseball, basically every sport, and they kind of just said, we support you 100%, do whatever sport you want, even if you don't like sports, we want you to be happy and we want you to succeed. But really the past few years and being able to play with my brother and kind of be on a team, there was just something about basketball and just the game that I kind of fell in love with over time.
What is it about the game that, like you said, you tried basically every other sport? Why did you fall in love with this one?
I mean, I didn't really take it seriously at the beginning of middle school, during that moving period, but kind of once I got settled here, I started seeing this culture of basketball in Central New York, packing the dome, going to all these games, screaming fans. And I really liked that environment. So it made me try the sport more, And, the more work I put into it, the more I got out of it, and kind of just seeing that, the work I put in, the more I got out of it, and seeing that growth over time, it just made me want to get better and better. Packing the dome, going to all these games, screaming fans.
Brother Tommy, just what that experience has been like.
It's been really special, especially this year being his senior year. I'm going to miss having him on the team next year, but it's fun, it's kind of fun to share that experience with someone. I love being on the court with him. He's the smartest player I've ever played with, just from a basketball IQ. I mean, he'll say something before it happens, He's a great player. I love playing one-on-ones with him, working on our games. It's kind of at the point where we both know what we're going to do, and it's, just who can stop the other person. It's kind of 50-50 now, which is really fun.
And for that, as you grow, I mean, you obviously can understand each other's game and, like you said, read each other's mind. So when you're on the floor, what does that do to create maybe some opportunities that other people don't have, where you almost have that telekinesis where you know where he's going to be, or maybe you know how he wants the ball and what that does for you?
I think it's just the understanding of, he knows where I'm comfortable. He knows where my spots are. I know where he's comfortable and where his spots are. And we kind of, we play off each other. It's a little like balance, or like he'll drive in, I'll rotate, and he'll like know where I'm going to be before I'm even there. And he trusts me and I trust him. And it's just great to see that bond build.
Best part of your game up to this point, in your opinion?
What do you mean?
Like, what you think your best attributes are on the court?
I think I'm there 32 minutes to give 100% effort, 100% hustle. I want to be on the court, and I think I want to fight on defense, and I think my ability to stretch the floor with the three has helped us a lot this year. So I just think, being there every night and just giving it my all has helped us.
Where have you improved the most, in your opinion?
I think this year, credit to the coaches and my teammates, I've been asked to be more of a ball handler this year, and obviously that comes with a learning curve. But I think as the season goes on, I'm starting to get more comfortable and make more of the right reads off of screens and stuff like that. I want to develop my game more as a facilitator, and I think they've given me the opportunity and the coaching to do that, and just having my back has been really cool.
You've been able to play with your brother, Tommy, like you said, you're going to miss him after this year. What are your thoughts? I know you're in this season and locked into this, but in the back of your mind, what are you thinking about in a season where he won't be there?
Obviously I'm going to miss him, but, he brings leadership to the team. He brings just the knowledge of the game to a team that we're going to miss a lot. And, I'm trying to take everything I can from him while he's here, and just him helping me become the best player I can be, and me making sure he has one good ride his last season is just all we've been focusing on.
Coach Evan Dortis, obviously his connection to Syracuse University and this community has been huge, and his family in this community building up student athletes. What can you say about Coach Dortis and what he's done for you?
It's been awesome. He's been here. I can remember when his dad was my modified coach. He'd come up to the practices. I'd tell him, hey, shoot a half-court shot. And then we'd have a half-court shot shootout. I think I still owe him like 50 push-ups or something. He's not getting those, but I still owe them to him. But, his dad and him have been great mentors to me, even outside of the season, doing off-season workouts, especially this year. They've just taken my game to another level. Their knowledge for the game and the passion that they have for the game, it really shows, and it makes us want to work harder. And, I have the utmost respect for them as coaches and as players, because, they don't miss.
And for you, when you look at what they've done and how they've helped you in so many different facets, what are you most grateful for from the Dortis family?
Their honesty, they hold us accountable to a certain standard, but it's because they care about us as people, and the life lessons they have taught us through the game of basketball, I've applied academically and through other facets of my life. And I don't think I would be the player, the person I am today without, having them mentor me.
And obviously Syracuse right down the road. Is there a hope to be there someday, to have a place there? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, it would be awesome. My brother's going there next year, and my family's enriched in the university, so it'd be awesome to go there. But right now I'm just focusing on this season and just focusing on getting through junior year.
And a final point here, and we do something on Wake Up Call called Rapid Fire, where we get off the court, we talk about literally anything that we want to. You get to know me, I get to know you, and more importantly, you get to know James. So we're going to go 3 questions apiece,
nothing prepared. I have no idea what James is going to ask. He has no idea what I'm going to say. So I'll go first. Favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, Inception.
Good choice. Okay, so let me ask you that this is a 1B to this. Is it reality or is it not? Like, when we see that spinning top, what are your thoughts?
See, the first time I watched the movie, I just kind of sat there for a minute. I was like, wait, that's the end? I went back and watched the ending, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think he's still in the dream. But I think he accepts it as reality, so I think he's going to be content in it.
Okay, all right. That's an interesting take. It's definitely one you got to go back and watch multiple times. What's your first one for me?
Favorite genre of music?
Oh, man, it's tough. Probably R&B. Hip-hop's very close. And I'm a fan of the 80s, 90s. There was a lot of good that came out of there. So now is not, it's not the same, it's not bad, but R&B growing up was just a different world, so I'll probably say that. My second one for you, James. What are the single best qualities individually of your mom and your dad?
I mean, just the knowledge that my dad has in any facet of life, you know. He's just always been such a great mentor and a great father, and he's always looked out for me, and he's always believed in me. And my mom, you know, she's always been there for me, you know, throughout school, throughout everything. She's just so loving and just wants to see her two kids succeed, and she'll do whatever she can to help us.
Sounds like you have two good parents.
Oh, they're awesome. They're rock stars.
Awesome. Second one for me, what do you got?
Favorite shoe brand?
It's not on purpose. I'm a style guy. So it has to hit me a certain way. And I have a ton of orange shoes for purposes we all know. It's my hometown. And then I have like red yellows because I like the flash. So my shoes have to kind of speak to me, and I like having unique ones. Usually the ones I wear, I don't see a lot of other people wearing, but it ends up being Nike more often than not because they seem to understand the color combinations I like.
They got some great colorways.
I would say that. So my last one for you, James. If you were writing a message in a time capsule that's going to be open in 100 years, what's the one thing you would write?
Ooh, that's a good one. Am I still alive to open it?
Yeah, say you're alive.
I would just say, I hope you're still eating bolognese.
Okay.
Something like that. Hello, world.
Nice. You know, I'm thinking about, is he going to go deep? Is he going to, you know, give us some advice on the future? I hope you're still eating bolognese. Hello, world. Nice. What's your last one for me?
Well, you mentioned Flash, so is he your favorite superhero?
He's not. He's my favorite DC superhero, but my favorite overall of all time, it's a tie. And one of them's kind of an anti-hero, but Venom and Spider-Man.
Okay.
Are my two favorites.
Did you see
Way
the new
before
movie?
the world. What'd you say?
Did you see the new movie?
I did, yes.
Oh,
many
it's
times.
awesome.
You liked it?
Oh, I loved it.
So now, did you see the other Spider-Man iterations? Like, did you know about Tobey?
Yeah, I watched the Raimi trilogy and the Andrew one too.
And so in the two that Andrew did, I'm actually in the second one.
Really?
Yeah. So the scene of the chase in the beginning with Paul Giamatti,
Yeah.
he's in the 18-wheeler and all the cop cars hit the 18-wheeler. I'm one of the 5 guys that comes out of the alley.
Actually, I gotta go watch it again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I actually got to film it. They filmed that week in Rochester, and I was a part of it.
That's sick.
So I said, technically, because of what they just did, I'm in the MCU. Because they just bonded them all
It's
together.
canon.
Yeah, it's canon.
Spoiler alert.
So for James Wildhack, myself, Dan Tortora, this has been a special edition of Wake Up Call. James, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Yeah, come out and support James and Manlius Pebble Hill. We look forward to talking with you all soon, and be well. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday
Wednesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavocollis.com. That's myavocollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and you're watching and listening on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on Facebook in two places, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on facebook.com/livenowdt, all from inside the Cafe Kubal studios. It is recruiting trail time once again, and I have the opportunity for the first time ever to welcome onto the show Wayne Peart. Wayne Peart joining us here today, and so excited at the time of our conversation that he has gotten all four of his Division I offers to play college football within less than 2 weeks' time. 13 days. My grandfather's lucky number is 13, so maybe that was kind of a foreshadowing that we were going to talk to each other here, but Wayne Peart getting 4 offers: Colorado, Penn State, Pittsburgh, and Syracuse.
all coming in. And to take a look at the order of them, he got his offer from Pittsburgh on January 5th, on January 6th, Penn State, on January 7th, Syracuse, and on January 18th, Colorado, have offered Wayne Peart, coming to us as a D tackle from Chaminade Madonna Prep in Hollywood, Florida, with the incoming class of 2023. And now I proudly welcome him into the show. Wayne, how you doing today?
Good. And you?
Doing very well, man. So you're doing good. You start off 2022 with 4 offers. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And how have you taken the last couple weeks to look at this and say January 5th, 6th, 7th, and 18th, that within just less than 2 weeks' time, we've seen that you've got, all 4 of your Division I offers here in the new year, which is what that's meant to you and maybe how you've handled getting all those offers so quickly.
It's a lot, but I'm starting to get used to it a little bit. Just take my time slowly, grab my own pace.
For you, were you surprised that it took, until January of this year to get an offer? Were you surprised at it? Were you not surprised? Was it right on time? I mean, how have you viewed your recruiting at this point?
It was surprising, but it's just, I just put everything in God's hand and I just let him do what he has to do. So I'm happy for it.
Now, you say you put everything in God's hands, and I can appreciate and respect that because I trust God more than anything in my life, and God is my number one all day, every day. So
yes, sir.
For you, Wayne, what can you say about your faith?
My faith, it's always been strong. It's always been strong. I always think about the positive, never the negatives. Even if I'm in the worst situations, I always put it in God's hand. He always done me right.
How have you become this way where, like you said, even in the most negative of situations, you look at the positives? How did you get there? Were you always like that? Did you have to go through something? Did somebody teach you how to be that way? How did you become such a positive person?
So I feel like I was always a positive person, but there was this, I remember I was in 3rd grade, and one of my teachers always told me, pretend to be happy even if you're sad, because at the end of the day, you're going to be happy. And I guess that kind of stuck with me till here in junior, in high school and stuff. So that helped me out a lot.
So they said to you, even when you're sad, pretend to be happy, because eventually it'll become reality and you will be?
Yes, and it worked 100% of the time.
And that's, and it is such a beautiful thing. And it's not even, I want people to understand this, it's not being a false person. It's just kind of saying, hey, even in the times where you're really upset, smile, because, and it's funny because I'm 36 years old and I think about it today. If every time I was mad, sad, depressed, down, if I smiled and I looked in the mirror, it's so hard to stay upset. It's hard to stay depressed. It's hard to stay angry. It's hard to stay, sad. If I see myself smile, it's going to take me out of that bad mood really quickly.
Mm.
So, I guess that's kind of what I took from that is like what your teacher said to you, like, hey, even if you are feeling down, feeling bad, feeling depressed, feeling angry, smile through it. Be positive. Focus on the good, and eventually you'll get yourself out of it. Because I can promise you, when you focus on the negative and you frown all day, it's never going to get you out of it.
No, it really doesn't.
So bring me into how that's worked in your life and what it's done for you, because what you just said, Wayne, is something that a lot of people need to hear. So I'd love to hear more of that from you and just this way that you live your life.
I'm always on the go. Really, I don't like to stay at home and stuff, but it's just me personally. I just really take that seriously. God also always will be part of my life, no matter what. I was born a Catholic and I was raised a Catholic, so me going to a Catholic school and everything, that helps me out a lot too. And I would like to learn more about it.
How would you describe God in your life?
He's my everything. He's basically my whole heart.
And could you even imagine a second of the day without him?
No, I couldn't. I always wear a cross around my neck, so.
Wayne, there's a lot of people that talk about faith, and then there's people that actually live it. Why is it important to you to let God know that you're thankful, that you give him credit, that it's not just you? You know, why is it important for you to give God the glory, so to speak?
He's the one who put me on this earth. I don't know what else I can say to that.
It's coming from Wayne Peart this morning with a very inspirational morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora that I appreciate so much. Wayne, your upbringing, speak with me about the family. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your family and just the type of life that you have at home.
My family, when I was around 6, I got divorced, but they're the best parents I ever had in my whole entire life, and will only be the only parents I have. They both are hardworking people. They always do right by me and everyone else. So I love them to death.
And you said, and I'm sorry to hear that, and you know I can go with you on that too. My parents are divorced, and so I understand, you know, having to navigate. I was older, but how did you deal with that at 6 years old, and how do you deal with it now?
When they divorced, it really matured me up like quickly than I expected. My bad. I still deal with it the same way. I love them both equally the same. They've always been here for me, so I would love them regardless.
And do you get to spend time with both of them?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
So I want to shout out Mom and Dad. So let everybody know Mom's name and Dad's name, and tell me the best quality about each of them.
My mom's Carmen Munoz Peart. My dad's Wayne Anthony Peart, the first. What's so special about my mom? She's the ride or die. Actually, both of them, but she's always the ride or die. She'll do anything. Her smile will enlighten your day in a heartbeat. She's really easy to talk to, and that's what I love about her. My dad, he teaches so many life lessons. He helps me build me as a human and how to become a better man than he is, and I love him for that. He always does me well. He always knows what's best for me, and I appreciate both of them every single day.
Wayne and Carmen, I appreciate you for raising Wayne, because in the few minutes that we've gotten to talk here on the phone, it's just really come through, and it's an honor. You know, it's an honor to have that. They sound like they're really great parents. They've had a great effect on you. Obviously, they brought you up in faith, and that's so awesome. So Wayne, beyond football and beyond everything, I'm really happy for you that you've had that life, and you've been surrounded by love.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, speaking of being surrounded by love, nothing says love more than going out there and hitting people on a football field. So, bring me into being a D tackle, and you come from a house of love. You love God. You're a Catholic. That's so meaningful to you, and so it's about peace and appreciation and calmness. And then you go out on a football field and you're out there and killing people and stuff. So how do you balance the two, and what gets you there on the football field, coming from such a place of love? How do you go out there and just beat the heck out of people?
Man, I have a switch. It's wherever I hit. When I get on that field, it's something clicks, and it's go time. Like, no mercy.
Where does it come from, though? How did you develop your switch, or like when did it start?
I have no clue, but I've always been playing sports since I was a kid. Soccer, basketball, baseball, rugby, whatever. But when I hit 9th grade, something clicked for me. I don't know. I remember just one day I was on the field and something just clicked. And I was like, I didn't know how to deal with it. And then I just went on the field and I just started balling out. And I was like, whoa, this is something really special.
So something inside you in 9th grade just happened.
Yes, sir.
And
do you think about anything? I mean, when you're out there, do you picture something you don't like? Do you like take all your aggression from the week out on the field? Like, how do you channel that energy?
So sometimes, even if I'm going through a little something, I'll bring it with me on Friday night, and I just use it. But on the field, I just play. I just like to have fun.
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, like you getting amped up. You're like, yeah, that lady took my latte. You know, that guy cut me off in traffic. You know, I was supposed to get an A on that test. I got an A minus. Like, I'm trying to think about what would get, like, because I know it would get me there. Like, I know this week, like, I could like pick this week and go, okay, you know what? These, like, customer service. Like, why do people just not, why are they not nice? When you like come into their business, why are they not pleasant? Like, I'm giving you money. So like, I don't get that.
No.
I'd be on the field with you. I'd be like, you'd be amping me up. You'd be like, yeah, Dan, remember when you went in that store and nobody greeted you at the door? I'd be like, yeah. And you'd be like, hey, remember when you were in traffic and that guy flipped you off even though he went through the red light? And I'm like, yeah, Wayne, I'd be killing people out there. So.
Yeah. No, normally what gets me really amped up is like the other team. They're always talking smack to us, so we just use that. We don't talk. We just let the action do it for us. So
you don't talk back. You just like let them feed you.
Yes, sir.
So which like of the teams that you play, it's you know when we're talking about Chaminade Madonna Prep that you're at, of the schools you go up against, who do you think is like the biggest rivalry, biggest trash talk?
I'll probably say Heritage or STA.
Okay. Heritage, what was the other one?
Heritage, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Central.
And Central. Okay. If you had to pick one that's like the team you'd want to beat in like the biggest game of your life up to this point, which one of those three would you pick?
STA probably.
All right, why would you pick St. Thomas Aquinas?
They're just a powerhouse school. I love the comp. I love competition, and I feel they can bring it. So that'll be good.
And you're coming from Hollywood, Florida, and to those who don't know, we were talking about it off the air, by Fort Lauderdale area. Speaking here with Wayne Peart, 2023 incoming D tackle for college football. Bring me into Hollywood, what life is like in that part of Florida, how you would describe your community, and just what you would say about it.
Well, originally, I'm from Pembroke Pines, okay. But when I went to high school, I'm basically in Hollywood. But Hollywood's a beautiful, beautiful city. I love it. Everyone loves the Chaminade football, so that's good. I love to see them out on Friday nights. It's just a big family. Everyone loves each other. Everyone knows each other. It's really cool.
Are you a beach guy? Do you like to go to Busch Gardens, Universal, Disney? Like, Florida's got so much stuff to do. So what do you like to do? If you got to take a little vacation, what would you do?
I'll do anything really, but I love to go fishing and stuff. So that would be fun. Beach, obviously.
Okay, fair enough. What is the best beach in Florida, in your opinion?
Hollywood.
Okay. Have you been to St. Pete's in the Tampa area?
No.
Gotta go there. Now, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, Disney. Have you been to any of them, all of them? And Universal as well. Have you been to each of them?
I've been to all of them except for Universal. I really want to go.
Okay. So you've been to Disney, you've been to Busch Gardens, and you've been to SeaWorld. What's your favorite of those groups?
Ooh, I haven't been there in a long time. I'll probably say Disney, though. It's in Orlando.
Okay, so Walt Disney World, favorite park and favorite ride?
I don't really know the parks, if I'm being honest with you. It's been so long.
Do you have a favorite thing that you did, like favorite memory?
Eating food over there.
Okay. Do you remember where you went or no?
No, I was pretty young.
Okay, well, we got to get you back to Disney. We got to get you there for the Food and Wine Festival when they have food from like 30 different countries.
Yeah, I want to go to Universal for October, the Horror Nights.
Halloween Horror Night. Yeah,
I was dating somebody when I worked down at Disney, and I was working at ESPN down there at the time. And the girl I was dating, she knows I don't like Child's Play. Like, I don't like Chucky. I don't like anything with dolls. I just don't do it. And people think it's funny, and I'm like, bro, bring a doll to my house. I will never speak to you again. And like, ever again. I will send you home with the doll. We will never talk. And so she's like, oh, you got to come to Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm like, And I'm trying it. Like, I'm an October baby. And I'm 10 days before Halloween. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll do it. I don't really want to. I don't know if I want to go, but maybe I'll give it a shot. And she's like, oh my God, they have a house play or a Child's Play house this year. It's all Chucky. And I looked at her and I go, why would you tell me like the one reason that I would not go and be like, yo, you got to go? And then she's like, well, why would? And then she's like, you don't understand. You come into this one room of the house. And there was like this massive pile of Chuckies, all different sizes. There was a huge one. And inside of it, some of them come to life and run out at you. I'm like, this is like every nightmare that I would ever have. Like, why would I go to this show? So do you have like a favorite horror movie or a series? Do you have something that like you would want to see if you went to Halloween Horror Nights?
I seen a series of Stranger Things. It's kind of horror, but not really like I don't know how to explain it, but it's I think it's pretty scary, kind of ish.
It's good. I mean, Stranger Things is good. Little Demogorgon. I mean, who didn't know that the pet in season 2 is going to turn out to be nasty? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a dog with a giant angry flower face. I don't even know how to describe it, but. I mean, Stranger Things, I could do Stranger Things. I could probably do The Walking Dead, but no Child's Play for me. They say that the characters, like, run out at you, and they said, like, people just, like, come and run at you when you're, like, throwing something in the garbage. And so, like, my concern is, if somebody ran at me, like, your first reaction is to do what, Wayne? To hit it, right? So, here you go, you got a big old D tackle out there. Wayne, you be putting people in the hospital running out at you, you know what I mean?
I'll probably be running if I'm being honest.
So, yes, I'd be running with you, man. I'd be like, man, I would jump up on your shoulders, baby. Wayne, we got to make a giant person. We got to run. So,
yes, sir.
So, but you've never been to Halloween Horror Nights?
Never.
Okay, so we gotta make that happen. You know what? You let me know when you're thinking about it. Maybe I'll make a trip down there. And we can run together, and I will make sure we destroy all the film of anybody trying to put that on the internet.
Sounds great. Sounds good.
So, speaking of running, you know, in here in the new year, you have been running high on these opportunities that you've gotten. Like I said before, all of them coming in the first month of 2022. Pitt, Penn State, Syracuse, and Colorado. Bring me into, I want to talk about each of these offers. We'll start with Pittsburgh. What did it mean to you that Pittsburgh was the first school to say, Wayne Peart, we believe that you deserve to play at this level?
Again, that was a blessing. From what I know about Pitt, they're a beautiful city, the fan base, they love their sports and everything. Their D-line, I know they're really good on the D-line part, like Aaron Donald. So that's really big for me.
And, you know, them going to a New Year's Six Bowl, playing in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which is in the rotation for the college football playoff. Does that mean something to you? Does, like, recent success of a team mean something to you? Do you have to be on a team that you see as prominent? Or I mean, if a team came to you and it was a prominent team who's in a New Year's Six or college football playoff versus an up-and-coming versus a team that's struggling, does it matter kind of where they are at their position of the program, or does that not matter?
For me, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. As long as I'm just putting up as a player and a person, that's all that I care about.
Fair enough. Well, right after you got that offer from Pittsburgh, the next day, the team on the other side of the state was like, whoa, Pitt, because they got a rivalry. I don't know if you know how deep the Penn State, like Tony Dorsett, that won a championship with Pitt, and Al Romano that did, they hate Penn State. I'm sure Penn State hates them back. So the next day after Pittsburgh, Penn State's like, yeah, okay, move over, Pitt, and they offer you. What do you think about Penn State?
I think they're really good. They're a powerhouse school. I think they've always been a powerhouse school. The stadium is beautiful. I love it. So.
And then after that, you get an offer from Syracuse the day after. So Northeast here, taking over. What are your thoughts on Syracuse? What do you know about Syracuse?
I really don't know too much about Syracuse. Is Syracuse in New York?
Yes, it's in the state of New York.
Okay, so I have family up there, so it'll be cool to be with some family up there.
And so they're in New York. And what are your thoughts? I mean, Coach Monroe, I know you tagged him in your offer. So is he the coach that is recruiting you?
Yes, he was the person that was recruiting me.
And what do you think about Nick Monroe?
He's a really cool dude. He's funny.
What is it about him that's funny?
I don't know. I just when he first messaged me, he was like, AKA the swag daddy. I started crying. It was funny.
Yeah.
But he's cool though.
And then after that, a few days after, you get an offer less than 2 weeks later from Colorado. Bring me into that offer.
It was really shocking. I did not expect that at all.
And why was it so shocking?
Because I remember my coach told me to give Colorado a call, and then just when I gave that call, I just got the offer. I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" I was speechless.
So you get these offers and you get the opportunity. 3 of them are in the Northeast, and then there's one right there in the Midwest in Colorado. What do you think about the fact of being a Florida kid getting your first 3 offers from the Northeast?
It's cold. It's gonna be real cold.
That's awesome. I love that. What's your first thought? It's cold.
It's cold. Cause I remember when we played nationally at Vegas, I thought it was gonna be all right, okay, but I was playing like 30-something degrees weather. I was like, I can't do this. I don't know.
So, what are your thoughts on these schools? I mean, do Syracuse, Penn State, and Pittsburgh have a chance with them being in cold weather area? I mean, they get hot in the summer, but knowing that the winters are cold and that there's snow up here in the Northeast, does that detract you from wanting to come to those schools?
Everyone has a fair shot, so I'm not picky. But if I want to play football and I have to play in the cold, I would do it. So.
And then Pittsburgh plays outside, Penn State plays outside, Syracuse plays inside of a dome. So if it makes you feel any better, they can actually control the temperature. So that's a positive. The school that you would love to hear from, the dream school of yours, who is that?
Florida State University.
And why Florida State? I know we talked about it a little bit off the air, but why Florida State?
When just growing up, it's just always been FSU for me. Like, my house was house divided. My dad was FSU. My mom was Miami. Always something special about FSU for me.
And your brother went to Florida State, right?
Yes, sir.
So can we shout out your brother? What's your brother's name?
His name is Emilio.
So what did Emilio tell you about Florida State?
He's more different than I am. He doesn't really do, like, sports and stuff, but I've been up there a little bit. But he said he loved it, really. He loves how people, like, are just cool about their business. They don't really do too much, and they're really easygoing. The campus is beautiful and everything, classes. So that really helped me out a lot, too.
So you said for you it's always been Florida State. What made you – I know you said it was a house divided, but, you could have easily picked Miami in your house divided. So what about Florida State intrigues you so much?
It's that war chant. Just when I hear that war chant, my skin crawls. So.
Okay, fair enough. That comes from Wayne Peart here with us, 2023 incoming D tackle for college football, with offers from Pittsburgh, Penn State, Syracuse, and Colorado in that order that they've come in. And from there, as we move forward here, so excited for you and what you have in your recruitment. Wayne, what are you doing to make sure that you're top of mind recruiting? Like, are you active in getting your film out there? Are you reaching out to places? Like, what are you doing in your recruiting?
Again, I'm just letting God do his work. I'm just putting it in his hands. I'm just really focused on school, getting better as a person, working out. So
best part of being
and my coach. Sorry.
What'd you say?
And my coach is doing a big favor for me. So thank you to him too.
And can we shout out your coach? Let everybody know.
Shout out Coach Jones.
And what's Coach Jones done for you that you feel is going to help you with your future?
He's done a lot. He's always been on top of me in school, outside of school, on the field. So I really appreciate him for that.
Yeah, coming here from Wayne Peart. Wayne, best attributes of your game at D tackle. What are the things that you think you do the best, and what are the things you want to work on?
What I think I'm the best at is pass rush. I'm quick for my size and stuff, so I can get back there. Some things I want to work on, some more moves like swim, arm over, and that would be really beneficial to my game.
We talked off the air that sometimes your team has four in the dirt and sometimes has three. So you're not playing a traditional 4-3 or 3-4. You're able to learn both. Do you have one that you like more than the other? I mean, obviously, if you're playing 3 down, then you're the only guy in the middle. If you're playing 4 down, then you're one of two. So do you have a defense that you like more so, or how do you look at it?
I like the 4 a lot more because I won't get double teamed as much because I hate those things. But 4 is really good.
Okay, fair enough. That coming from Wayne Peart. Wayne, before I let you go, let the world know if coaches are listening right now, schools are listening right now, why should they consider you?
If they should listen to me because I'll do whatever it takes to win. I'm a team player. Team comes first always. I don't mind the competition. I want the competition. I want to put the work in. So.
Fair enough.
Choose me.
What'd you say?
Said choose me.
And lastly, here to bring it all back around, what do you want to say to God?
Thank you. And I love you for everything you've done to me, or done for me.
Awesome words coming from Wayne Peart. Wayne, I am so happy that we got to talk. Shout out to Wayne, shout out to Carmen, shout out to Emilio and the whole family. Shout out to Hollywood, Florida, and to Chaminade. And I definitely look forward to following you on your recruitment trail. Would love to have you back on the show if you'd like to come back.
Always, of course.
All right,
Thank you for
listen,
having me.
keep the faith, of course, and be good and stay safe. And I look forward to talking with you soon, okay?
Yes, sir. Same to you.
All right, take care.
All right.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Look at your screen, folks. Look at that. There's only 4 teams left. That's right. Count them on one hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know some people are like, Dan, do I have 4 fingers? Yeah, you got 4. Well, the thumb doesn't count. Listen, there's 5 on there. You utilize them. There's 4 games, 4 teams left. 2 games, Bengals, Chiefs, Niners, Rams. We're going to have some fun with it here today with Mr. Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. You can also check out Mike by going to the Winning a Fantasy Football group we have on Facebook, so I definitely implore you to do that. Appreciate everybody that has gone there and joined our Facebook group. Thank you so very much for being a part of everything that we do every single week when it comes to fantasy football. So he is the man of the hour, and definitely appreciate all of his expertise as we get set here to speak on the final 4 teams inside of this playoff. And so much looking forward to this. Mr. Sofka here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Let's bring the man onto the broadcast and see how he's doing today in rainy, Seattle-y kind of Florida. It's a little bit different this morning in the great state of Florida. Mr. Sofka, how you doing today?
Yeah, it's in the 50s. It's cold. It's wet. It's miserable. I feel like I'm living up by you.
Yeah, we don't get the crappy rain. We get the snow, and so. You know, that's the thing. I always tell people this all the time. If it's going to be cold outside, I'd rather it snow than rain. Because if it's cold outside and it rains, then you're just like, you're wet, you feel gross. So I'm not about any of that whatsoever. Mike, before we get into the Fantasy Football Power Hour of these 4 teams left, let's take a look at last week and what happened in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. 8 teams remaining, 4 games, and every single one of those games relied on their kicker. The Bengals relied on Evan McPherson to be the separation in their victory over the Titans, who were the number 1 seed. And then we saw that the Chiefs needed Harrison Butker of 49 yards to get them into overtime. The San Francisco 49ers needed Robbie Gould to win the game over the number 1 seeded Green Bay Packers. And Matt Gay of the Rams had to stave off a giant comeback from Tom Brady and the Bucs. Every single game needed special teams, needed their kicker. Can we give some credit to the kicker in the world of special teams, knowing that without them, each of these 4 games would have ended very differently and could have, been for the other side as well.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. You got one guy. His one job is to make kicks, and these teams obviously have good kickers. I mean, that was some gripping football both days, Saturday and Sunday. I mean, Bengals with Evan McPherson out of Florida, kicking that game winner. I thought, wow. And you and I had called that game. We both picked the Bengals to upset the Titans last week, so that was something else. And then you take a look at the 49ers. The 49ers just out-muscled the Packers. I mean, Brett, listen to me. Aaron Rodgers, I had a zing back to the 90s there. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that looked like he was a deer caught in the headlights at the end of the game when they were asking him about his future. And then you go over to Sunday, and the Rams just took the Bucs to the woodshed, jumped out on them early, and then it looked like the Bucs were going to come back. There was all these improbable things happening. Well, if they get this 4th and however long, well, they would need a penalty, and all these things kept happening and happening. Well, there's no way they're going to get the ball back. They got the ball back, and it looked like Tom was pulling this Tom stuff, and the Rams, who can never close out anybody that they have in a tight game like that, looked like the Rams were going to give one up to the GOAT. And Well, sure enough, they couldn't. They didn't, and then Brady came up a little short, and he too looked like a deer in the headlights after the game when he was asked about his future. And then the Chiefs and the Bills, what a game. I mean, in the last minute 54, there was like 4 different scores and lead changes. I felt bad for Josh Allen the worst. The guy played lights out. It's not really his fault they lost, but they did. He gave Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds to march down the field, and they kicked that field goal. And then, sure enough, in overtime, they win the toss, and a couple plays later, they scored a touchdown. So it was just outstanding. All 4 games on walk-off plays at the end of the game.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy to see something like that every single game ended that closely. It goes to show you that, you know, what we said and what I've been saying all season long is that this was anybody's season in the NFL. Any one of the 32 franchises, you know, throw it open in the air, and there was nobody, well, I shouldn't say anybody, I should say of the upper echelon of the teams that had made the playoffs, it was anybody's game. You know, the Titans could have made a run, the Bengals can make a run, the Chiefs can make a run, the Rams can make a run. The Niners, I said, I won't be surprised if they beat the Cowboys. I won't be surprised if they keep moving on. I won't be surprised if they find a way, and because they're playing with house money. There's not a team in this year's playoffs that I thought was not capable of going out there and winning a championship, because this is just what the year has brought to us. It's what we've seen. Every single one. I mean, we could have had a mashup of any of these teams at the end, and I don't think people would have been completely surprised. We could be looking at the Cowboys right now. Could be looking at, if it was Cowboys-Packers, people would say, okay, makes sense. If it was, you know, Titans-Bills, people would have said, okay, makes sense. And not every year is it like that. This year it is exactly like that we could literally just take all of these names, throw them in a hat, shake them about, pull a few of them out like a lottery game, and take a look at this and say, yeah, any one of these would make some type of sense in the grand scheme of things. So this has definitely been a lot of fun because these playoffs have been wide open, and we're seeing exactly that. And each of these 4 teams having to gut it out at the end of the game. Nothing came easy. Last second field goal, last second field goal, last second field goal, overtime. So what a tremendous way to go into the Final Four for the conference championship round. Mike, I spoke about it last week with you going into it. I'd love to get your thoughts on it now. The fact of the matter that being the number 1 seed has its blessing, that you're automatically in the divisional round and you don't have to play in the wild card round. So now that there's 7 teams in the AFC and 7 teams in the NFC instead of 6, the 1 and 2 don't get a break. Just the 1 gets a break. So 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. Number 1 advances forward. So the benefit is you advance out of the wild card, you don't have to play. I said the detriment is you're the only team not playing. You're the single team on that side not playing a game, and it could work to your disadvantage to have that week off. Yes, it helps in getting people healthy. Yes, it helps in extra time of preparation, but I think it can also hurt you because you can never truly 100% simulate a game. This season, more than ever, arguably in recent history, we're seeing how much of that statement that I made maybe is very true. That when you are the number 1 seed, yeah, it's great to move forward, but it also can be detrimental that you're the only team not playing, as we saw Tennessee and Green Bay both lose in their first game.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I kind of disagree with that. Usually in the NFL, home team is everything. You know, we just had 2 exceptions. We had a couple different anomalies this year as opposed to years in past. We did have an extra week to the season, an extra game on the schedule, and then we did only have the 1 team on a bye. I would venture to say if we had 2 teams, those other 2 teams may have won as well, but, you know, not really looking at it. Tampa Bay and, you know, ended up losing in the second game. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I think. It's interesting to me, the matchups here that did come through. We have a 10-7 against a 12-5 and a 10-7 against a 12-5. And these games are not easy. These games are not walkovers for either team, just like last week wasn't. So it's a great time to be a football fan. It's a great time to be real deep in fantasy football because you really get to see some things that you don't normally see. You get to focus on just one game at a time. instead of channel flipping or stat watching for, that my guy scored, it's a little more enjoyable this way. There is by the way, there is a Squares game I shared on the Facebook page, sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. It's not a plug, but you can win free money. It's all you got to do is give up your email. So it's pretty easy. You pick a square and you could win some money in the Super Bowl. It's free to play. It's on the Facebook page, Winning Fantasy Football.
Yeah, and it is to see where we are right now and to see where things stand. And obviously, I'm not saying give up home field advantage. When you're the number one seed, you have home field throughout the playoffs. I'm just saying the detriment of having a week off and what that could potentially do. Mike, did we miss something with Tennessee? Do you feel like we were cheated out of something as Derrick Henry went down in October? The team surged to continue to play well. That, I think, is credit to, obviously, the players as well as the coaching staff. Next man up approach, Mike Vrabel, and the plan that he has and the plan of attack to put Dante Foreman in there, yet another Texan who didn't do a lot of things with the Houston Texans, but did, obviously make a splash with the Tennessee Titans. When you look at Tennessee and Derrick Henry going out in October, the fact that he could be coming back, and the deeper they went in the playoffs, the more we could see of him, arguably. Do you feel like we were cheated out of something as football fans in that respect, if the storyline could be different? And then the second one, to go to Green Bay and that number one seed in the NFC, what is Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs? Because in the regular season, he's phenomenal. He's MVP worthy. But in the playoffs the last couple of years, he looks like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, that's, the odd thing about this whole thing, and I was tepid on Tennessee. They did kind of back into the number one spot there. But at the same time, if we were talking about any one of the other teams, for instance, instead of talking about the Bengals versus the Chiefs and the Niners versus the Rams, if we were talking Titans and Chiefs, and if we were talking Packers and Bucks, we wouldn't blink an eye. We would think this is normal. We would think this is how it's supposed to be. So to me, this is excellent. It shows a little more parity, shows that, there's some great young talent coming up in this league. I mean, Deebo Samuel, every time he touches the ball, he's capable of scoring. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they seem to pull things out from I don't know where. The Rams pushing all their chips into the center of the table, and the Chiefs turning it on and becoming the Chiefs. So, no, the Titans situation doesn't surprise me, because this is the way the league has been all year, and it's very exciting.
And with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, do you think, what is he doing legacy-wise, in your opinion, with what he's been able to do on the field, who he's been on the field? We see the successes of Phillip Rivers with the Chargers, right? And then in the playoffs, he almost disappeared. We saw Tony Romo with the Dallas Cowboys, and his statistics were great during the regular season, and in the playoffs, he disappeared. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is better than both of them. I don't think people are going to argue with me that he's not. But in the playoffs in recent history, he's disappeared. What are we looking at when we're looking at Aaron Rodgers' regular season versus Aaron Rodgers' playoff?
Well, Aaron Rodgers overall is 11-10 in the playoffs, and this is a guy who, he's done pretty well. You think, 11-10, that may not so be. He has had 21 playoff games. I know of several teams throughout the country who would love to have 21 playoff games recently here. Here's the deal. Those 10 that he lost, those 10 playoff games, 3 of them came in overtime. 4 of them were in the conference championships, and the other 5 of the others were on the final play of a game. So there's 9. I don't understand how we could sit here and say Aaron Rodgers is bad or whatever, but I just think he got shocked. I really didn't think he expected to lose. I really didn't think he thought that the Niners would come in and lay it down on him. And, the guy went 20 to 29, 225 yards, but, no touchdown. So yeah, it was a down game for Aaron Rodgers, but where was everybody else? I mean, you can't just blame this game on Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Jones had 129 yards in a game, but where was the defense? Where was the ability to stop what the Niners were doing? I mean, this is a team in the Niners that they're talking about trading away the quarterback that may take them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I'm I get it. I get the whole thing. I can see it from all sides, but I can also understand how people would say, well, Rodgers disappeared. Yeah, well, in that game he did. You're right.
That coming here from Mr. Mike Sofka here with us inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, is where you go 7 days a week. Of course, you can go to watch all of these games and to watch every single sport all the time at the Wildcat. And, of course, if you're going to be watching from home, takeout and delivery available by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. So, with that being said, taking a look at the Bengals, Mike, Joe Burrow, I mean, you mentioned Evan McPherson, their kicker. You're a Florida guy. You're a Gator proud. So your thoughts on Mr. McPherson and go a little bit deeper into it. And here's Joe Burrow, just a few seasons removed from winning a college football playoff national championship with LSU, and him and Jamar Chase are now trying to win it at the professional level. Your thoughts on Cincinnati, how hot they are, Evan McPherson in the group, just what your overall take is?
Yeah, I think Cincinnati is way hot. I think there's a special connection between Burrow and Jamar Chase. I see the team is fired up all the way around. The defense has been playing pretty well as well. And this is a team that believes. This is a team that reeks eerily of the Chiefs a couple years ago, where they can believe in what's around them. They can believe in the playmakers on the team. I mean, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, like I talked about before, T. Higgins. This is a team filled with playmakers. The defense knows that if they can just get them the ball, if they can just slow down the other team, if you can hold the other team to 17 or less points, you're usually going to win a game in this league. So I think the defense has been doing what they could, not lights out, but they're doing enough to win. I just hope it's enough for that defense against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs really looked like they were hitting their stride in the second half of that Buffalo game.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have had up and downs this season, Mike. The Bills have had up and downs this season, but it was all up to end this game. 25 points scored in the final minute 54, something ridiculous, going into overtime and whatnot, needing a two-point conversion, getting a two-point conversion, needing a field goal, getting a field goal, needing all these yards in 13 seconds, getting all those yards in 13 seconds, needing Tyreek Hill to turn up the Jets, Tyreek Hill turns up the Jets, needing somebody to step up, and Gabriel Davis has the best game of his career. Another guy from down in Florida, UCF, that I covered down there for the Knights, and 4 touchdowns in a game by a wide receiver in the NFL playoffs has never happened ever in the history of the NFL. Gabe Davis, the first player to ever do it. Not Jerry Rice, not Tim Brown, not any of those guys, not Antonio Freeman and all those names that you're used to hearing from historically. Gabe Davis, the only one to have 4 receiving touchdowns in an NFL playoff game. So a lot of great stuff. Go back to this Bills-Chiefs game. I know that so many people are going to look at overtime rules and say they wish they changed. I agree that I think both teams should possess the ball, especially looking at that game. Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen were on fire, and whoever got the ball second, I would imagine, would keep it going the way that things were going. But you can also argue the fact that it doesn't matter about overtime because no defense should allow you to score in 13 seconds. So your take on the Bills-Chiefs game, and did we already get our Super Bowl in a way? Because that game really genuinely looked like it was going to be all night long.
Yeah, that was one of my first thoughts, and I was glad that I was able to share these games with the lovely Lisa. She was, she'll casually watch a game with me, but she can't just sit there and watch one game. She does enjoy the Red Zone channel and so forth because it's fast, it's scoring plays. Her and I looked at each other and thought we were watching the Red Zone channel because every time we turned around, somebody was scoring in the second half of this game. It was tremendously exciting, and the Bills have the number one pass defense. The Chiefs have the number one pass offense. And, Mahomes is the guy who was able to push it past. Mahomes, if you had a wager at that very second with 13 seconds left, even I was thinking, wow, this may be impossible for even Mahomes. Then they marched down the field and kicked the field goal. And then once they won the coin toss, I was like, this game's over because they're going to march down there and score a touchdown. You could feel the groove that they were in. You could feel everyone clicking. You could feel the excitement in the stadium while watching it on TV. That's huge. And that excitement and energy breeds excitement and energy. And I think that goes back and forth from the team to the fans and the fans to the team. You know, and I felt kind of bad for Josh Allen and the Bills that somebody had to walk away. But, you know, that was one of my first thoughts as well, Dan, that we could have been watching the Super Bowl right there.
Yeah, you know, and I feel like sometimes I just want to throw all the teams in one hat and then say, hey, maybe it's 2 AFC, maybe it's 2 NFC, you know, maybe like college football, maybe it's 2 SEC teams, you know, and we get to see the Bills and the Chiefs play in the Super Bowl. So that's one side of it. We talked about San Francisco. How about the Rams? Your take on them? A defense that can strike Bucks. They were playing a Bucks defense that was capable, playing and then a Rams defense that's very capable. And then you got Matt Stafford, who's, I think, number one out there in passing right now in what's left of the playoffs. And I think he's number one, the Rams offense with passing the ball, what he's been doing. And then defensively, you know, the Niners, I think, are 25th against it. So we're looking at this game and saying, okay, but in the Rams-Bucks game, two defenses that people aren't focusing on because they're focusing on Brady and Stafford. I didn't have the Rams game on. And it wasn't because I didn't want to watch it. I was just doing stuff. And then I turned the game on, and I said to myself, oh, wow, the Rams are up by 20 plus. I should probably shut this off because now that I'm watching it, Brady's going to come all the way back. And didn't that exactly happen? Brady surged all the way back. I think it was like 24 unanswered points before the field goal by Matt Gay at the end of the game. Your take on what the Rams did to get out so quickly, but then also a kind of telltale sign and a little bit of concern here. They got out really quick on a strong Bucks team that was trying to repeat as Super Bowl champions, but then their defense allowed the Bucks all the way back into the game to the tune of 20 plus points to force a last second field goal. So really strong start, really questionable, shaky finish. What are your take on the Rams as they go into a game with the Niners? And the Niners love it. They're chomping at the bit. They're playing with house money. The Rams just kind of fell backwards into the NFC Championship game, and now they're playing a familiar team who they let into the playoffs.
Yeah, this is a weird thing because if you watch that game against the Bucks, you see that the Rams jumped out. They scored 20 points on the Bucks in the first half. And you're like, wow, Bucks defense, where are you? But then in the second half, I was asking where the Rams defense was because they gave up 24 points to the Bucks and nearly let them back in the game. But this is nothing new for the Rams. The Rams are, you know, used to being in close games. Not all the time are they on the winning side, but just taking a quick glance at their schedule here, the Rams, a touchdown decided the Cardinals game, touchdown decided the Vikings game, 1 point decided the Ravens game, 3 points decided the Rams game, 3 points decided the Bucks game. You know, I can go on and on here, and some of these games are on the wrong end. This is a team that is too good not to be able to close someone out. They've put all their chips in the middle of the table. They've given away all their draft stock. They've got Von Miller assisting in the pass rush. And that defensive line from the Rams is fascinating, especially on paper. But they got to deliver. They got to be able to put up stops late in the game. You know, sometimes fantasy teams aren't, when you're playing fantasy, sometimes you don't win if you have the best players. Sometimes if you have the best team. And what I mean by that is you got to have up and down guys. You talked about the special teams needed to be, you know, earlier here. You got to have all cylinders clicking on special teams. You got to have all cylinders clicking on defense and offense in order to win these games in the NFL, especially this time of year. So that's why, you know, when the Rams can't close somebody, it lends the question, you know, what if this game was one more play? What if this game had 2 more minutes? You can't rely on that. You can't go to the conference championship, let alone the Super Bowl, with that type of mentality. You can't go to the Super Bowl knowing you can't close anybody out.
Yeah, you know, and it's kind of interesting here too as we look at this. And what if Green Bay was still alive right now? The first ever Super Bowl was Green Bay, Kansas City, and Green Bay won that 35-10. So kind of cool to think about that. Not the first ever championship game for the NFL, but the first ever Super Bowl, January 15th, 1967. The Kansas City Chiefs have been to the last 2. They're trying to make it 3 in a row. that they've advanced to it. Now we start having the conversation of, okay, well, everybody gives Bill Belichick credit for going and going and going and going. What if Andy Reid here, who some thought maybe he was going to retire after everything broke away in Philadelphia, and now he could potentially be going to 3 straight Super Bowl games? Pretty awesome and amazing. So, Mike, let's hop right into it. Fantasy and reality. Bengals at the Chiefs. We've talked about both teams. What are your thoughts on the fantasy value of the Bengals and the Chiefs, and what is your prediction for this game?
Well, I don't normally start with kickers, but I'm going to here because Harrison Butker is great, and Evan McPherson, as we saw as well. Evan McPherson in the Bengals' 2 playoff games, 8 for 8 on field goals. Now, this is a guy who we talked about before, attended the University of Florida. When Dan Moyne was on his way to coach the Gators from Mississippi State, Evan McPherson had verbally committed to him at Mississippi State. Dan Moyne took him with him because, and that's, gray area of college rules and all that. But anyway, he ended up at Florida, and you could see the power on this guy. He set an SEC record for field goal percentage. He was 5 of 8 on 50-plus yarders, and he only missed 1 extra point out of 150 tries at Florida. So this is a guy who can, and as we've seen, can put the team on his shoulders, a rookie kicker of all things. But you take a look at the quarterbacks for both teams. Both teams have outstanding quarterbacks. This week I do have, Patrick Mahomes, number 1 quarterback overall. Joe Burrow's number 3. There's only 4 teams here, guys, so rankings aren't going to be super low. But, you go to Joe Mixon. This is where the difference could be, is the running game for each team. Jerick McKinnon has turned it on as of late. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has gotten less touches because of it. And then, they're mixing in guys in Kansas City, even a Michael Burton. So Derek Gore, all these guys could touch the ball. So I don't think Joe Mixon has as many guys threatening him. He just has Samaje Perine. So I got Joe Mixon, number 1 overall this week. And I think there's going to be a lot of passing, a lot of up and down. I think it's going to be a fast-paced game, not clockwise. I mean fast-paced when they're passing the ball. But Jerick McKinnon, number 3 this week, so that should tell you something. And then you go over to the wide receiver rankings. Tyreek Hill. This is a guy who just always seems to show up. I remember watching him in the 4th quarter of that last game. As soon as he touches the ball, you're like, oh, he's gone. And there's guys all over the field, but you can just see him kick it into that extra gear. You could see him make the first guy miss, and then he's gone. And Byron Pringle has turned it up as well. He's number 7 on the rankings. Tyreek Hill, number 4 this week. On the other side of the ball, Jamar Chase is a long ball specialist. Him and Joe Burrow just have this connectivity. I think it's great. Jamar Chase, number 3 on the rankings this week. Tyler Boyd, number 9. And then going over to the tight end position, Travis Kelce. He's just the guy. He's the best tight end left. George Kittle's been called on more recently to stay in and block more, so affecting his targets because of the offensive line situation they had in San Fran. So Travis Kelce's always a guy you can count on. He's the number 1 tight end this week. And on the other side of the ball, C.J. Uzomah seems to surprise and jump up at you. He might be a DFS steal. I'm still working on some DFS numbers here, but I would lean toward that guy to give me some dollars to work elsewhere. I think the difference in this game could be in the defense. And I think Kansas City's defense may edge out Cincinnati's defense. The Bengals are a great story. I just think that last chapter is going to have to wait a while to be written. I'm going to take the Chiefs at home.
Yeah, it's great to see what the Bengals have done up to this point, but they're getting the Chiefs. And I think the best team, arguably, that we're going to see fight the Chiefs for the rights to the championship was the Bills. And so, I think, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to the Bengals, I think that they're a step back in competition from the Bills for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, this is a better game for them than the Bills game was. And I know Cincinnati's got power. I know that they could do some things. I know that they've been effective. I'm super excited about them. I'm really happy for them. My 3rd grade teacher, and she still supports and watches and listens to what I do. And I can't believe that, I have her support after all these years. It means the world to me is Mrs. Kuno, Pat Kuno. And she's a huge Bengals fan from the Boomer times and even probably before that. So I'm a big fan of Mrs. Kuno, and I'm so happy for her and her team. But with that being said, I don't see how Cincinnati gets by the Chiefs. Now, remember, in the regular season, the Cincinnati Bengals won the game. Bengals defeated the Chiefs at home in Cincinnati 34-31. And in that matchup, Pat Mahomes, 26 of 35, 259, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Joe Burrow, 30 of 39, 446, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mixon had 46 yards on the ground. Darrell Williams had 2 touchdowns for the team. Derek Gore from good old Central New York, my hometown area, came from Nottingham High School. He had 37 yards on 3 carries in the game, 12.3 yards a carry. McCole Hardman in the game had 53 yards. The ball was spread around. Demarcus Robinson and Travis Kelce had touchdowns for the Chiefs, and Jamar Chase had 3 touchdowns on 11 catches, 12 targets, 266 yards, averaging over 24 yards per catch. So we know Cincinnati has firepower. We know they've done it before in defeating the Chiefs this season, but I don't think it's going to happen in this one. I am going to pick Kansas City. However, I do, of course, if it's fantasy-wise, like Mike said, there's only 4 teams left. You know there's talent all over here. Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, C.J. Uzomah. I shouldn't have to tell you, but I will. And obviously the kickers, we know that Evan McPherson stepped it up. Big shout out to my buddy Brendan Murphy, a fellow alum of Marywood University, who is a huge fan of McPherson and also a big Gators fan like Mr. Sofka. So loving the fact that a guy that he wanted and he drafted in our fantasy football league for our Marywood alumni fantasy league this year under the Wake Up Call Fantasy Football Challenge. So excited that we get to see really McPherson come on the map. He talked about him when little to no people I felt like really knew about him. I wasn't that familiar with him. And then here he is doing what he's doing at the end of this season, which has been incredible. And then Harrison Butker. We know he's been effective over the years here. On the fantasy side, offensively, Pat Mahomes, I shouldn't have to tell you, but I will. Tyreek Hill, fastest guy in the NFL. Travis Kelce as well. Byron Pringle has stepped up. I wish he would have done that earlier on in the season when my team auto-drafted him in one of the leagues I'm in with Mike. And then, Derek Gore, I'd love to see him get out there and do some things. Love to see him score in this. And his role has been fluctuating this year, but I'd love to see a little bit more. I don't trust Jerick McKinnon. I wish and I hope for him the best, but fantasy-wise, it's hard for me to trust in him. And so, I'm hoping Derek Gore does some things, but I think it's going to be, obviously in the passing game and Tyreek Hill. This game could be high scoring. They scored 65 points combined earlier on this season in the regular season, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs in it. Listen, whoever wins on this side, I'm going to be happy. If Kansas City does it, they're starting a dynasty. If, the Bengals do it, then they're going from 0 to hero. So, I think the better story is the Bengals, but I think the better team is the Chiefs for now, and I'm going to give the edge to the Kansas City Chiefs. The next game up, Mike, is an interesting game, as I mentioned here before. The Rams and the Niners, whoever wins this game, the NFC is going to be represented by the NFC West. There's 4 divisions in each conference, and the NFC West cannot lose this. 2 of their 4 teams, 50% of their division is in the NFC Championship game. Whoever wins will be representing the West Division of the NFC. These teams have played each other twice this season, as they do every year. But here's the kicker. In Week 18, the first Week 18 ever of the NFL, the Rams faced off against the Niners. All they had to do was win, and they won the division. The Arizona Cardinals had to win and have the Rams lose. Well, with Arizona losing, they still gave the division to the Rams despite the Rams losing. But by losing, the Rams let the Niners in. So the irony is, the team that's coming to try and steal from your house is the team that you unlock the door for. What are your thoughts on this? And if it happens that the Niners beat the Rams, then the Rams are responsible more so than just in this game because the Rams let them into the playoffs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you're doing there when you're in the playoffs. You never know who you're gonna. It's always one of these things. In sportsmanship, I let him and I did. No, screw all that stuff. I'm not saying be a bad sport, but you're right. They let the in, and the Niners seem to have the Rams number at least recently. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's 5 of the last 6 meetings, somewhere in that area there. The Niners have them, and This is going to be a great game as well. It's all going to rest on how Jimmy Garoppolo does. I have him ranked as the number 4 quarterbacks out of 4 this week. So, there's no doubt in my mind that he's capable quarterback. And as long as he doesn't make mistakes, if he pulls out the Trent Dilfer package out of his bag and just doesn't turn the ball over, lets the defense and lets the playmakers do what they do. Get the playmakers like a Deebo Samuel in space. Get Elijah Mitchell going. So on the other side of the ball, Matthew Stafford, I have him number 2 quarterback this week. Cam Akers, what a charge he's given this offense. This is a guy who is a performer. And Cooper, and I'll get to that in a second. But Matt Stafford doesn't know what to do. He's never been this far. He's never been to a playoff game, let alone won a playoff game. This is a guy who can win the game for you. He is an effective game player. I don't think the lights are too bright on the big stages for him at this point. He's been that way all of his career. A former Georgia Bulldog quarterback, played in the SEC, played in front of big crowds, in front of big moments all the time. So even though he's had a break for the last 10 years or so in Detroit, I think he's going to pick this up just fine. Going over to the running back situation, like I said before, Cam Akers has been a delightful comeback for the Rams. Number 2 on my rankings this week, and they have the benefit of that 1-2 punch and 2 guys who have been in the games, and Sony Michel being number 6 on the rankings here. And then you go over to the other side of the ball here with the Niners. Elijah Mitchell, again, injured most of the year, coming back, going back and forth. This is a guy who they have to have on the field. He gets it done. Just shy of 1,000 yards this year. Didn't even play the full season. This is a guy who's ranked number 4 on the rankings. And Kyle Juszczyk is not far behind him. Yes, the fullback is who I'm calling out here. This guy can catch passes. This guy can block, and he can run with the rock if you give it to him in space. This is a guy who can help you win the game with his fiery passion. And I bet he's a great locker room guy as well. But on the other side here with Cooper Kupp is he's got the whole thing swept. He's got the receptions, he's got the yardage and the title. He swept all the top spots that you can. Deebo Samuel, though, on the other side of the ball, he can run the ball real well too. He's the rich man's Cordero Patterson. He's number 2 on my rankings. The difference here may be in Odell Beckham Jr., number 6 on my rankings. He's come about late in the year and in the playoffs here. And then you got Van Jefferson rounding out the top 10 here. So they got 3 great receivers, an excellent running back who's in the top 2. They got a top 2 receiver as well. But on the other side of the ball, I spoke of Deebo Samuel being number 2. Brandon Ayuk, another young receiver, has turned it on as of late. He's the number 8 receiver on the rankings. And going over to the tight end position, Tyler Higbee is not a household name, but he might be soon here. This is a guy who's been getting it done for the Niners, or for the Rams as of late. This is a guy who can get you a first down, can get you tough yards over the middle, and he can run for speed, and he can block well, so he doesn't have to come off the field. On the other side of the ball there for the Rams, of course, they got George Kittle. He's been hampered by having to stay in and block more. It'll be interesting to see if that continues to be the case in this game. Right now, I've got him number 2 and Tyler Higbee number 3 on the tight end rankings. This is a tough game to call. I don't like the line being at 3.5 because I think the game could go either way with a field goal. But I'm going to take the Niners, who will continue to have the Rams number here in an upset.
Mike, you got an all-red Super Bowl, and guess what? Just a couple seasons ago, this was. Who would have thunk that just a couple years ago, when Jimmy G, and what did I say? I said, I want to see, number one, I want to see a Patriots quarterback that backed up Tom Brady go somewhere else and be successful. And Jimmy G, I thought, was the best bet to do it. And then he couldn't stay healthy. And I said, I want to know what a Jimmy G season looks like if he's healthy all year. What did that season look like? They went to the championship game. And who did they play? The Chiefs. Who was the only team that stopped them? The Chiefs. Who was it? Jimmy G versus Pat Mahomes. Who got it? The Chiefs. And where are we right now in a situation where we could see Jimmy G versus Pat Mahomes again in the title game of the NFL? And guess what? Couple years ago, people were like, yeah, Jimmy G, Pat Mahomes, awesome game. Now people were going, Jimmy G's history, Pat Mahomes is one of the top guys, upper echelon, top 4. 2 years later, Jimmy G is the man on the way out, arguably, and Pat Mahomes is the golden boy, the highest paid player in the NFL, I believe, making almost $50 million a year if you break it down by average. So it's just funny how here we are once again where we could have Niners Chiefs for the title, but a couple of years ago when it was Niners Chiefs for the title, people were feeling Jimmy and feeling Pat. We went into this year and everybody's like, Trey Lance, Trey Lance, Trey Lance. Who cares about Jimmy, Jimmy who? And Pat Mahomes. And then it could happen again a couple years later. Do you know how hard it is to make it to the Super Bowl? How hard it is to make it to the title game? And to do it 2 years in a row, Bill Belichick made it look easy, folks. It's a very difficult thing to do. We would applaud when the Packers did it a couple years in a row, and the Broncos did it a couple years in a row. The Dallas Cowboys did it for that stretch. The Buffalo Bills, despite losing, did it 4 years in a row. It's not an easy thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. And here we are where both of these teams argue, if the Niners and the Chiefs win, they're going to be in the title game 2 out of the last 3 years together. That's insane. Insanity. So, as I look back on this and look back on the history here of these last few seasons, to know that we are one step away of it happening again, and just how different people have looked at Jimmy Garoppolo and how people have continued to stay high on Pat Mahomes for the most part. It's just funny what a couple years does and what truly embodies the what have you done for me lately. I think Jimmy knows that better than anybody right now. Mike, you brought up the head-to-heads. In the last 5 games, the Niners defeated the Rams on December 21st, 2019. On October 18th of 2020, the Niners won again, 24-16. Then the Niners won 23-20 on November 29th, 2020. And then the Niners won 31-10 this year on November 15th, 2021. And then on January 9th, 2022, the final game of the season in overtime, the Niners won 27-24. So the Niners have won the last 5 games over the Rams. Granted, they didn't have Matt Stafford for 3 of those 5, but Matt is 0-2 as a Rams quarterback against the Niners just this season. And then we look at the fact that they won a game before that, and then the last game that the Rams won was 48-32 in 2018. So the Rams have won the last 6 in a row. They are 2-0. The Niners have won the last 6 in a row over the Rams, and they are 2-0 against a Rams-led Matt Stafford team here. So, I'm looking at the situation right now, and you want to pick the Rams, you want to pick Cooper Kupp, you want to pick the high-powered offense, but reality shows you that Kyle Shanahan knows how to beat the Rams 6-0, and not losing since back in 2018. And on top of that, Matt Stafford, for as good as he's been, he's 0-2 against the Niners as the Rams quarterback. So when we look at the fantasy side of it, Jimmy G, you may not like him, you may not respect him, you may have followed the bouncing ball and thought that he was done in San Francisco, but guess what? Here he is again, and he's worth fantasy value. As far as the running attack, Elijah Mitchell would have the most value to me. 71 yards on 20 touches, not great. It's a little over 3 yards a carry, but he is the guy there in a very crowded backfield in San Fran, which has been no different in the last couple of years. Deebo Samuel has value in George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk with a little bit of that. On the Rams side of it, Matt Stafford, Sony Michel, has he stepped up and been one of those guys. How about this? Jimmy G leaves the Patriots and he goes to the title game as the quarterback. Sony Michel leaves the Patriots, and he becomes the #1 running back for the Rams and actually starts looking like a first-round pick for the first time in his entire career, arguably in the fact that he's leading this team. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, Van Jefferson all have a play here. Tyler Higbee has some value as well, below George Kittle in my opinion. This is going to be a fantastic game, and I really want to pick the Rams. But the Niners have been clear about what they can do head-to-head against the Rams. You have to be very careful about when you leave that door cracked open, what could come through it. And at the same time, the Niners have nothing to lose. They're playing with house money, and the Rams just gave up 20-plus points and barely defeated a team they were ahead of by more than 3 scores. So in Tampa Bay. So for me, I'm really going back and forth on this one. I'm really thinking I could go either way. And ultimately, I think I feel the best about agreeing with you, Mike. And originally, I had felt Rams. But the more I look at this, the more I look at the history, which cannot be denied, what Kyle Shanahan has done as San Francisco's head coach, and what Jimmy Garoppolo has done with a fan base that maybe had started to forget about him and move on to the next era. You know, could they move on from him if he wins them a title game? Could they move on from him if he leads them to 2 NFL title games in the last few seasons? I would say no, but some fans would say yes. I'm going to pick the 49ers because them getting into the playoffs, they were one of the teams that I don't think anybody was paying attention to. Them and the Saints were fighting to get in. The Niners had an easier path to get there, and everything happens in their favor. They get in. They beat the Cowboys, and I said if they win, I'm not going to be surprised. Green Bay, I'm not going to be surprised. And right now, I'm not going to be surprised. So we're going to see a Niners-Chiefs, in our opinion, title game, all decked out in red, once again, for the second time in just a few seasons. Mike, this is unheard of. But I think if this does happen, Jimmy and Kyle Shanahan deserve a ton of credit because the Chiefs we expect to get here. But the Niners, nobody expected it a couple years ago, and definitely they expected it far less this year. If the Niners do it, shout out to them, and the Chiefs are going to have their hands full in the game.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts as well. I'm excited for another exciting weekend of football. I have to, it's half the games. It's only on Sunday, 3 o'clock and 6:30. But at the same time, that's a good 6+ hours there of solid, what I expect to be close back and forth games. So I'm real excited about this weekend.
Yeah, so that's what we got. Mike and I got the same thing here. We could see a repeat of the title game with the Chiefs going up against the Niners. We shall see. I'd love to see the Rams do it for the Matt Stafford story. I'd love to see the Bengals do it for the underdog story. But ultimately, I think the Chiefs they're too much. And I think the Niners, they've shown you what they could do against the Rams. So, and the Rams really backpedaled into this one. So with that being said, Mike, as always, I appreciate it. Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com, Winning Fantasy Football Group on Facebook. As always, your expertise is appreciated. Your homework is very, very much thanked by so many people around the world. I cannot thank you enough for being the only person that I call when it comes to fantasy. And much love, as always, to you as a friend and as somebody that I just appreciate having in my corner. So I hope you enjoy the games. I'm thankful for you professionally and personally. And please give my best to Lisa, Trey, and the team, and enjoy this weekend of football.
Thank you so much, Dan. Again, it's always a pleasure. It's always a treat to be with you. I look forward to next time. Thanks.
Sounds good, and take care. That coming from Mike Sofka here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. I want to thank you all for tuning in to today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. A big shout out to our Dolphin Dive guest, our first ever recruiting special of Dolphin Dive, and that featuring Allison Cole. First time we've ever had a player who's not on campus as a Dolphin right in this moment, but who has signed on to be. So Allison Cole makes history of our first future Dolphin Dive episode. Say that 5 times fast. Future Dolphin Dive, future Dolphin Dive, future Dolphin Dive, future Dolphin Dive, future Dolphin Dive. Well, I speak for a living. I should be able to do that. So, shout out to Allison Cole, CNS, and Moyne. A big shout out to James Wildhack in my trip over to Manlius Pebble Hill. And he makes history as my first Manlius Pebble Hill basketball player to be interviewed on the show. Big shout out to Wayne Peart, who has offers from Penn State, Pittsburgh, Colorado, Syracuse, and as of, I believe this morning or late last night, Temple. Big shout out to Wayne, and thank you for being a part of the show. And, of course, to Mike Sofka for Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com and the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, your home to watch every single game, be it football or anything else. You know where to be. You know why. So 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, 7 days a week to dine in. And if you're going to stay at home, you can, of course, order takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. Big old thanks to each and every single one of you that watch and listen every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets that thing called life on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /Wake Up Call DT, of course, on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and on Facebook.com Wake Up Live Now DT. That's facebook.com/Live Now DT. So I appreciate you all for tuning in and connecting with the show and being as incredible as you all are every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Also, a big time shout out to everybody that's downloaded our show on the many channels that we're on. The Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora feeds are there for you on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, as well as iHeartRadio, Podbean, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and MixLR. All you have to do is find your way over to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by going to any one of these channels and searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure that you do that here today. And a big thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Moyne Dolphins, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. You can order from anywhere in the country by going to maandpaspopcorn.com. Big shout out to Avicoli's, Progressive Dental, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, Honda City of Liverpool, Mother's Cupboard, which you should definitely check out on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, our newest food challenge with the Syracuse men's cross country team. Joe Dragon, Aiden Tooker, owner of Mother's Cupboard, Pete Green, and I all face off with our orange iced cinnamon French toast challenge. Definitely want to check that out. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and of course PB&J's Lunchbox, which as of yesterday, January 25th, 2022, a monumental date, as I now officially have my nachos that I make at home. That recipe, those ingredients that I use for my nachos are now on site, on location, exclusively at PB&J's Lunchbox. You can order the DT's CNY nachos by going to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, Monday through Saturday, or by ordering from any one of those apps, including DoorDash and Grubhub, and get my nachos. So the nachos to go for takeout, delivery, and dining in. 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Get DT's CNY nachos. Nachos made my way, available for you today, exclusively at PB&J's Lunch Box. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's final note, as we are the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is fins up all day, every day on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, including today featuring Allison Cole. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora brings you every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We bring you Dolphin Time with new episodes of AD and DT featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, every first and third Wednesday at 9 a.m. And every second and fourth Wednesday, including this week, we feature at 9 a.m. Dolphin Dive episodes with the student athletes, coaches, and players that are student athletes, coaches, and staff members, I should say, connected to the Moyne College Dolphins. And we get to give that Dolphin Time every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, where it's always fins up. You can check out all of our Dolphin specials that happen throughout the year, as well as on Wednesdays, by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe, and going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Find out more information about your Dolphins by going to lemoynedolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride every single month here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for my alma mater, the Marywood Pacers, with specials coming to you every Friday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time to round out the week with Executive Director of Athletics Pat Murphy, or our student athletes and coaches. You never know who it's going to be. Every week is somebody different, and I appreciate so very much the stories we get to tell from Marywood University. And I will be there tonight for the Whiteout doubleheader. It's a whiteout, giving out white t-shirts to Marywood University students. And the first game and the second game, all you have to do is be a student and come onto campus and go to the women's basketball and men's basketball games tonight. You'll get a free t-shirt, and to the families and everybody else that's coming in and all of our visitors, we'll be throwing t-shirts out. I will be emceeing the doubleheader, bringing you an entire night of basketball at Marywood University starting around 6 p.m. Eastern Time, with the women's game and the men's game at approximately 8 p.m. Eastern Time to follow. Marywood University, Pacer Pride, you got me on site, on location, emceeing your games tonight inside of the Insulaco Arena. I'll see you there in Scranton, PA, and you'll see us every Friday for Pacer Pride on Wake Up Call. You can check out all the episodes by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as going to the Marywood tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and of course find more information by going to marywoodpacers.com. With that being said, find us on the Facebook at wakeupcalldt, the Twitter at calldt, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. And in the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. Be good to each other.